Okay, let's just get right into it. If you're an experienced tech professional, you already know the deal. The job market can be, well, tough. So today, we're not going to just talk about age bias. We're going to break down a real, actionable playbook to reframe your experience so you can land the senior roles you absolutely deserve. Let's do this. First up, the hard truth. A number that's pretty stark. Only 6% of the entire tech workforce is over the age of 50. Now think about this. In the general workforce, that number is closer to 20%. So this isn't just a feeling you have, it's a measurable reality. The bias in tech starts way, way earlier than in most other industries. And just to put a finer point on that, the median age at a place like Google is 30. 30. At Facebook, it's even lower, 28. What this tells us is that the industry has this undeniable focus on youth. So if you're over 40, it doesn't mean you're out of the game. It just means you have to be smarter. You have to be way more strategic in how you present yourself. And that brings us to the most important point of this entire explainer. Listen, this is not about erasing your history. It's not about pretending to be 25 again. The solution is to position your deep experience as the absolute strategic weapon that it is. It's about reframing, not hiding. That's the key. So to solve a problem, you really have to understand its root causes, right? And there are 4 very specific biases that are driving ageism in tech, and they're a little different than what you might see in other fields. Let's break them down one by one. First up is something we can call currency anxiety. You know, tech moves at lightning speed, so the fear, whether it's conscious or not, from a hiring manager is that you're a genius in last decade's tech, but maybe not today's. Your resume's #1 job is to prove that this fear is totally, completely unfounded. Second, you've got the whole startup culture thing, that move fast and break things idea. It often carries this unspoken belief that true innovation belongs to the young, and that experienced pros, maybe with families, just don't have the hunger for those 60-hour weeks. And third, well, it's just basic economics, isn't it? Senior engineers, you've earned it. You command senior salaries. But a startup trying to save every penny can hire 2, maybe even 3 junior engineers for the price of 1 senior. And they'll rationalize it with excuses like, oh, you're overqualified, or the classic, not a culture fit. And finally, there's the human element. A lot of tech managers are in their 30s, and honestly, there can be a real, maybe even unconscious discomfort about managing someone 10, 20 years older than them. They might be wondering, will this person listen to me? Will they accept my direction? Okay, that's enough about the problem. Let's get into the solution. Now we're going to cover 3 really powerful, actionable strategies you can start using right now to modernize your entire professional profile. This is the core of the playbook, right here. Okay, this might be the single most important change you can make to your resume. It's the 3-tier technology audit. So tier 1, remove. Anything that screams a specific decade like Flash or Visual Basic 6, just get it off there. Tier 2, minimize. Older but still relevant tech like jQuery, fine, but frame it as part of a migration project. And tier 3, emphasize. This is where you feature the modern stack, React, AWS, Kubernetes, and you use version numbers. That screams, I am current. Let's see this in action. The before here says, maintained a Java application for 15 years. That kind of signals stagnation, right? But look at the after. It uses the exact same experience, but frames it as evolution, leading a migration, adopting microservices. It's about architecture, it's about scale, it's about modern practices. Same job, but a completely different and way more powerful signal. In tech today, your GitHub is your portfolio. It's non-negotiable. And if you're going to link to it, it has to prove you're current. So what does that look like? Well, here's the checklist. Recent activity is a must. You need at least 1 project that uses a modern framework, has clean documentation, and, this is crucial, shows signs of modern practices like testing and CI/CD. So how do you directly fight that currency anxiety we talked about? With overwhelming evidence that you never stop learning. A recent AWS or a Kubernetes certification, that's like a silver bullet. It instantly tells a recruiter you're up to date. And another pro tip, reorganize your skills section by modern categories, like cloud and containers, not just some long chronological list. Being strategic about where you apply is just as important as what's on your resume. You need to avoid those early-stage startups where culture fit is often just code for age bias. Instead, you target late-stage startups, the big FANG companies, and large enterprises. Why? Because they've moved past the break things phase, and now they desperately need what you have: experience building stable, scalable systems. A lot of people find themselves returning to a hands-on coding role, what we call an individual contributor or IC role, after some time in management. If that's you, your resume has to be re-centered on tech. You've got to lead with the engineer title, dedicate the vast majority of your bullet points to your own technical work, and be direct about wanting to get back to hands-on development. Language really matters. These little tweaks can remove those subconscious age triggers. You're not maintaining a legacy system, you're leading a platform modernization. You don't have decades of experience, you have deep technical expertise. And here's a simple but powerful rule. If you graduated before, say, 2010, just leave the gate off your resume. Simple as that. All right, we've covered the why and the how. Now, let's put it all together. Here is a concrete 60-day action plan that will literally transform your resume and, with it, your job search. Here it is, broken down so it's not so overwhelming. The first 2 weeks, you just audit and clean up. Weeks 3 and 4, that's your time to build that modern GitHub presence. Then, weeks 5 and 6, you go get that critical certification and rewrite your achievements. And finally, in the last 2 weeks, you begin your highly targeted application process. It's manageable and it's effective. So we'll leave you with this question. After everything we've talked about, take a really honest look at your resume right now. Is it actively telling a story of growth, of modernization, of evolution, or is it accidentally signaling stagnation? If you want a detailed AI-powered analysis to actually get the answer, you can get a free report over at passthescan.com that's built to check specifically for these kinds of outdated signals.